Okay, welcome back to FTL. We are going to be playing through on easy mode using the Slug ship today, the Man of War. I think this is probably the most challenging standard ship to start out with. I think it is not very well equipped for the early game, but then you can very quickly become very powerful with it. I haven't played this as much as the other ships as well, so I'm not super familiar with it, so I may make some mistakes, but we'll see how it goes. Thanks to a suggestion from somebody on YouTube, I've also found a way to get the game audio to play underneath my voiceover. Hopefully the levels on that are well balanced. If they're not, let me know, and I'll see if I can do a little bit more mixing in the next videos and get it to the proper settings. With that, I think we're all set to go, so I'm just going to rename my ship. I am a lover, not a fighter, so we're just going to rename this the Man of Love. It should be the Slug of Love, but whatever. And let's get going. First thing you'll notice with the Slug ship is that it only starts with 2 crew members, which is a bit of a disadvantage. It also doesn't come with any sensors, but your Slug's telepathic abilities will somewhat make up for this. You can see we don't have a lot of power to start with, and we don't really have much as far as offensive weaponry goes. We have a breach bomb, we have dual lasers, which are actually a slightly better version of the burst laser too, in that they fire faster and require less power. And we have the anti-bio beam, which does not do any damage to enemy ships, but which will severely injure and kill their crew. So this ship is really built around kind of sitting there and dodging bullets while you kill off the enemy crew, at least early on. I think we're all set to make our first jump. There's a store down there, but I don't want to go there just yet. And here we come across an automated scout. It's trying to power up its FTL drive. You don't have as many options with fighting automated ships as you do with other playable ships in this game, so what I'm going to have to do is use my breach bomb to hopefully disable his engines before he can jump away, and then focus on taking him down in the traditional manner. I find that I go through ammunition really fast with this ship early on until I get some other weapon upgrades, so I do try to be very stingy with my bombs and only use them if I absolutely have to. This guy has been essentially taken care of. It's just a matter of kind of sitting back and waiting for my dual lasers to finish him off. I can make one more jump before we have to get to the store before the rebel fleet, so let's do that. Alright, here we come across a pirate. You can see, because we have Slug crew members on board, we can actually see the kind of life signs of the crew they have on board, which means that this is a good opportunity to demonstrate what the Slug ship is really meant to be doing, and that is disabling their shields and taking down their crew with the anti-bio beam. I'm going to try using my lasers for this because, as I said, I really want to conserve my bomb ammunition as much as possible, but depending on how this goes, I may have to switch over. Alright, we damaged their shields. Now, it seems to me, and I could be wrong about this, but I think the anti-bio beam will only damage enemies that it directly passes over. You can't just target the rooms they're in like you can with the other beam weapons. So we'll let off the first shot, and then it's just a matter of keeping their shields down and hitting their crew with the anti-bio beam until all their life signs have been extinguished. You can see that laser blast actually took out that one crew member, so it's a nice little bit of bonus damage. With that, they are down to 2 crew, one of whom we know is severely injured. I don't want to blow up their ship, so I'm going to de-target my lasers for now. And hopefully their crew won't move around too much, and I'll be able to take care of them with the anti-bio beam. One more shot ought to be enough to do it. For whatever reason, these must be rock crew members, otherwise 2 shots of the anti-bio beam would have been enough to take them down. There we go. And let's go check out this store now. sensors and crew members, etc. I would really love to hire another crew member and get sensors, but I can't do both. So this is going to be a tricky call. Sensors are cheap, and we only get more scrap as we go along, and they seem to be a fairly common drop when you're piloting a ship that doesn't have them, so I'm actually going to buy a crew member instead. It's a little bit of a risk, and it's maybe not the ideal choice, but I always like having Mantis on board. And here we come across another automated scout. I'm going to switch back over to my breach bomb instead of the anti-bio beam. And as before, I will just take down their shields and then whittle them away using lasers. The game fluff seems to kind of imply that dual lasers are not as good as burst laser 2s, but they only take one brick of power and they do just as much damage and actually shoot a little bit more quickly, so it's a shame you never seem to find them in shops because they're definitely superior to the burst laser 1 as far as efficiency goes. So far we've been getting lucky in that we haven't come across any enemies with missile launchers yet, because I have no good way of defending against that right now. There we go. Get a paltry reward from them, but then a good reward from the Federation outpost that Rebel ship was attacking, so that was worthwhile. Civilian ship being chased by a pilot. You can see these guys only have 3 crew member on board, so it should be fairly quick work to kill them all off with the anti-bio beam. I actually retargeted their weapons there with the hope of disabling them, which I was able to do successfully. And now I will be able to focus solely on killing off their crew. The anti-bio beam actually caught both of their crew members there, so you may not have to be as precise with it as I thought you did. One more shot from that ought to do it. I'm going to send my pilot up to start fixing up the medbay now while I'm at it, since they're dead in the water. And there we go. Get some scrap, and a free hull missile weapon. That's excellent. It does use the same ammo as our breach bomb, but it also does far more damage to enemy ships. So that'll be nice to have. At the very least, we can sell it off for some scrap later on. Now, because this ship tends to just kind of sit there while you whittle away their crew, I like to upgrade the shields as early as possible just to give myself a little bit more protection. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And here we come across more pirates. These guys only have 2 crew on board, but they do have a missile launcher, so I am going to have to try and disable their weapons once I get the shields down, or they'll be able to just shoot missiles into me the entire time I'm trying to kill them. Should obviously be a bad thing. And, of course, they hit my weapon bag. Murphy's Law there. But I can at least get a shot of the bio beam off while I'm trying to repair my weapons. After that, I think I'm going to lose it, so I'm actually going to switch over to the breach bomb and see if I can disable their weapons before they completely take out my weapons bag. Although it looks like I'm not going to get a shot off. Nope, success. Excellent. That, well, we haven't completely disabled their offensive capability, but that is certainly better than nothing. I'm going to actually spend a few missiles just to try and get them to stop hitting me with that damn missile launcher, which, as you can see, is causing me a lot of trouble. And with that, I'm actually going to deal deal with the fire engine simply by... and there goes my oxygen. Yeah, the slug ship tends to take a lot of damage, at least the way I've been playing it, just because you have to sit there and wait to kill off your crew, or their crew, until you get some better weaponry. But with a little bit of luck, we will be able to take care of this guy without taking any more damage. Yep, there we go. We get a pretty paltry reward, considering all the damage we took, and the fact that I had to spend 3 missiles, but at least we survived. And I'm going to wait for our air supply to come back and get my ship fixed up. It's entirely possible that I just haven't figured out, like, the right way to use this ship yet, which is why I have more trouble with it. So, if somebody in the comments has suggestions, I would be happy to hear them. We get another free missile weapon, which I will certainly take. The Hermes requires 3 power, and fires a 3-shot missile. Not really worth it in my opinion when the whole missile does even more damage when you're hitting empty rooms and takes less power, but you may find more use for it than I do. We come across another automated ship. These guys don't even have shields, so I'm absolutely not going to waste ammunition on them. I'm just going to hit them with my dual lasers until they go down. Target to their engines just to lower their evasion rate for my follow-up shot. There we go, one more volley ought to do it. Easy cake. We get some scrap and an updated map, which is nice. It's good to know what we have in store. Civilian ship being attacked by pirates. These guys don't have a missile weapon, so they can't actually get through my shields. So I'm basically free to take out their crew at my leisure. I got a bio beam shot off just in time to get past their shielding, which is nice. They just lost their shields to fire, which is excellent news. And that takes care of them. We get a nice reward for that. Because you're effectively capturing entire ships, much like you would be with a boarding party, the slug ship tends to rack up the scrap very quickly, which is extremely nice. We come across an automated ship in an asteroid field. I have 2 layers of shielding, and they only have an ion beam to pierce my shield, so I'm not actually too worried about this fight. I think I should be able to take them down without too much fuss. As long as we don't get unlucky with some asteroid hits, I think we'll be okay. Shot or that friendly asteroid, and they are taken care of. And we're ready to move on. I have just enough time, I think, to visit one more sector before the enemy fleet gets to the exit beacon, so I'm going to take that risk. We come across a pirate. Again, these guys have no real way of penetrating our defenses at the moment, so this should be a pretty simple fight. anti-bio beam. You do want to keep in mind that it's a good idea not to just set your anti-bio beam to constant auto-fire, because enemy crew will move around to try and make repairs and stuff, and you don't want to waste a shot, because it does take a long time to charge up. There we go. Got a small reward for that, but more importantly, we do have time to get to the exit beacon. And we can sell some drone parts for scrap. I will absolutely take advantage of that, since I'm not using drones yet. And we're ready to jump away. I've had a few people in the YouTube comments suggest farming out these sectors and not worrying about fighting the rebel fleet as many times as you need to. But I think partially because I find that a little bit boring, and partially because this is a YouTube playthrough and I'd like to just show off the game a little bit more quickly. I'm not going to do some of the more power gamey strategies that you can make use of in this game. And with that said, I think we're ready to jump on to Sector 2. I'm actually going to the Uncharted Nebula because even though I don't have sensors, I have Slug crew, so I'll be able to see at least what's going on as far as enemy crew goes on their ships. Slugs do have a bit of an advantage fighting in nebulas compared to the other species ships. Here we come across some nice stuff available in the shop. I'm going to buy sensors, I'm going to buy a little bit more fuel, and I'm going to go ahead and sell off that extra missile I got because I don't plan on using it. It is a good time to think about doing some more upgrades. I'm going to buy one more brick of power and one more weapons bay upgrade, so now I can use 3 of my weapons at once, or the hull missile and the anti-bio beam at the same time, if I so choose. I'm just going to hang on to the rest of our scrap for now. We tried to save a ship that was trapped in some rocks, and were unsuccessful, which is a shame, but at least we got a little bit of scrap out of it. Oh, good, slavers. The slug ship is perfectly equipped for dealing with slavers, because they've only got 2 crew members, and we can simply kill them off, and hopefully rescue the slaves that they have on board. The enemy AI seems to be almost entirely random with how they target their bomb weapons, which is good for us, but bad for them, because as likely as not, they'll just hit an empty room on your ship, and won't actually do any damage. And there we go. And we get a free scrap. We get a free crew member, sorry, and some scrap. Let's head into the nebula proper. Come across more Mantis. They're offering to let us leave, but I think we can take care of these guys, so... Yeah, I gotta say, I've been having very good luck as far as the kind of enemies we've encountered so far in this playthrough. I have lost on numerous occasions simply because I would come across somebody with, 2 missile launchers and I would take too much damage. It looks like that's probably an Engi in their shield room, considering how quickly they got their shields fixed back up. I think it's neat that you can kind of infer things about enemy crew just based on the behavior of their ship. These guys have a defense drone, which is really not a threat since we're not using missiles. And again, it would be quicker if I were using breach bombs on these guys, but I really want to conserve my ammunition. That took out one of their crew, so a couple more shots with the anti-bio beam ought to do the trick. There we go. There's another store down there, which is excellent because we're doing very well on scrap. And we come across an arms dealer who we're just going to straight up attack because I always have bad luck with these guys. They always end up swindling me, and rather play it safe. There we go. 6 fuel, which is very nice, and 35 scrap. Let's check out this store. Excellent. We can get a scrap recovery arm, fix up our ship, and what the heck, why not? Let's hire a couple more Slug crew members. And we're good on fuel. I'm going to go ahead and buy the 2 missiles they have available. Never have too much ammunition. And I don't really have a use in mind for these Slug crew members. I'll send one over to man the engines, but it's more the novelty of having this many Slug on a ship. They're rather uncommon to come across as hireable crew members, so. And once again, more of the same. Until enemies start having multiple levels of shield protection, they don't have a lot of good defense against this ship's actual armor. So, like I said, if you get lucky with not encountering a lot of missile weapons like we have been, the early game is actually fairly easy with this ship. Took a hit to our oxygen, but I've got plenty of spare crew to take care of that. I'm actually going to de-target my lasers because I don't want to destroy their ship outright if I can help it. Yep, there we go. 6 more fuel and 40 more scrap. And we are way ahead of the rebel fleet, so I am going to do a little bit of sector farming here. That's an empty sector. Here we have an automated ship. I'm doing very well on ammunition, so I'm actually going to go ahead and use a hull missile on these guys and try and take them down more quickly. Actually, scrap that. It's silly. They can't get through my shields. There's no reason for me to spend the ammo. That was a waste of a breach bomb as well. Yeah, one of the things that kind of irks me a little bit about this ship layout is that it's pretty fun to play, but there is a lot more sitting around waiting for your weapons to charge and doing little bits of damage at a time, at least until you get different weaponry. And we get a nice reward for that. Across a rebel ship. We're going to try and chase them. They slip away, but no great loss. And with that, we are at the end of this sector, and I think that also brings us to the end of this video. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.